Hi, it's Joe Hoyt from DLLS Cowboys here with Clarence Hill. And Clarence, we just said adieu to Zack Martin.
I do. Goodbye to Zack Martin. I was just thinking about this as I was driving. The greatest Cowboy post Super Bowl era. I know there's a lot of talk about him, maybe being in the same level as Larry Allen, and we could have that conversation. But when you look at the post Super Bowl era Cowboys, the three-time Super Bowl champion Cowboys, all those guys who have one ring, the players since then, and this includes DeMarcus Ware, uh, Zack Martin is the best player the Cowboys have had post Super Bowl era Cowboys. That's how good he's been. He
Yeah,
was.
yeah. And I think the other thing, too, is Zack Martin is just the consistency. And that's something that he
Yeah.
talked about. And this is a guy that came in 2014. Jerry Jones had to be the last one to be convinced by him. I mean, he
Right.
talked a lot about today how Stephen Jones was kicking his feet saying, hey, we got to take this guy. Well, the pick ended up being good. I loved your question, too, Jerry, too.
Yeah, I mean, if Jerry has never been happier to be more wrong, and he wanted Johnny Manziel, and he wanted he even talked about it not on the draft day, but he was all the way up to training camp. He's still pushing at Johnny Manziel. We're the Cowboys. You don't lay up. This is a layup. You go for it. I want a big high profile. When you're picking that high, I want a high profile player. Clearly, the Cowboys got the best player. Johnny Manziel was buzz, lights, high profile, fizzled out. Not even a great football player. This guy's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and I think there's some lessons to be learned from that pick, too. And we talked with Tony Romo a little bit about this, too. One thing about Zack Martin, and that's something Stephen Jones said, was there were no negatives with him. This was a guy that was clean. This was a guy that had the work ethic. The guy was going to step in, no negatives. And the other thing Tony Romo talked about, that offensive line, Zack Martin was the missing piece for it. And they were so solidified that Tony was like, hey, for the first time, I could just hand the ball off and say, this is easy. I wonder if there's a lesson to be learned there.
Well, the lesson to be learned there is that offensive line was so great. Tony was great. He could hand the ball off so easy. Another great Cowboy, future Hall of Fame Cowboy, will retire having never won anything in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the regret. I mean, you look at Zach, and I asked him about Zach and his regrets. He said not being able to win it. Obviously he wanted to finish a career on the field, but not being able to win it. You look at the Tony Romos, Jason Wittens, Wares of the world, and the Des Bryants, the guys who've come through here, since those '90s teams who've come and had their career and have had no significant playoff success. That's the thing that sticks with me. And you look how great he is. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. But it's just a part of this continued legacy of Cowboys who haven't been able to win.
Yeah, and one thing Jerry Jones committed to today was putting him in the Ring of Honor too, prior to going to the Hall of Fame. So that's one thing Jerry said. The other thing too about Zack Martin was you looked out in the crowd and you saw so many former Cowboys out there. We talked about Tony Romo. You saw Tyron Smith. You saw Tyler Biotish. You saw Travis Frederick. You saw a lot of guys, and that was something that kind of kept coming to me. What you were talking about. A lot of these guys didn't have that playoff success either.
No, they're part of that same legacy. We always put it on the quarterback, Dak and Romo. But all these guys are part of that same legacy and not been able to win.
Mm-hmm. And one thing about Zack, I mean, you covered a lot of guys, Clarence. Where does Zack Martin, in terms of just being a pro and handling the media, like where does he?
I mean, he's up there. I mean, he was consistent, and he didn't run for them. He wasn't always, and he's not Dak Prescott or whatever else, but he was a pro. I mean, everything he did was pro on a pro level. He was respectful. But Zach is easy. We never wrote anything bad about Zach. You had 7 holding penalties, 7 holding penalties his whole career.
7 accepted holding penalties.
Okay, accepted, whatever. The bottom line is he was a flawless player.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing about him. He was just a flawless player, flawless human being as far as a football player is concerned. Obviously now he's going to be a family man. He's going to be running the carpool for his kids. But, it's hard to go wrong with what Zack Martin did and what he brought in and what he meant for this organization.
Yeah, he leaves a gaping hole, not only from just a leadership standpoint and what he meant to the team, but from a literal standpoint. Now they brought Brock Hoffman back yesterday. This is a guy that's going to compete for right guard. They also have the 12th overall pick. They have a little bit of free agency money now. I mean, Jerry didn't really give us a lot of insight in terms of what their offseason plan is today.
That's a whole nother thing because Jerry said they have no voice that they have to fill in free agency. They have no holes, no needs, no drought, no needs that they really need to fill in free agency, which makes no sense at all. The best thing that Jerry said was when somebody asked him about Dak Prescott saying the Cowboys can compete with the Eagles and they, as good as the Eagles. Jerry said, even I'm not dumb enough to say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe we can commit. I mean, we can compete in the NFC East because we have, but I'm not dumb enough to say we're better than Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, they got Dak. We got Dak to say that at the walk last time we talked with him. Any last thoughts on today? Like we said, Jerry didn't really say that a lot from this.
No.
He didn't talk at the combine.
No, Jerry was close to the vest. Certainly, he talked about obviously not having anything you needed to do in free agency. He did say that they have a premium pick and they want to maximize that premium pick in the draft. As far as Michael Parsons said, he said he doesn't have any regrets waiting to sign Dak and CD.
Which was
and
interesting.
He doesn't have a time clock on Michael Parsons. But talking to Stephen Jones afterwards, Stephen Jones said, yes, we'd like to get Michael Parsons done early.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting that he said that, oh, yeah, we could have made money available if we wanted to last offseason rather than having that impact us. But as we know, I mean, they could have made a lot more money available if they would have just signed Dak and CD a little bit earlier for the price that they ultimately signed him.
Yeah, I mean, again, he was all over the place because he said we could have done that, but he also said everything we're doing this year was in plan last year, was the plan last year. So when they were all in to selectively aggressive to we're not going to be that aggressive, we hope to get the best player in the draft.
Yeah, Micah Parsons is next up on the to-do list, and then free agency comes. We got a lot more to talk about, Clarence, and we're going to get you that. Tune in for more DLLS Cowboys coverage from Clarence and myself. Thank you very much.
We all silly like the mayor.